I have a question. So I know this quarter, or actually I don't know, but is this quarter like the LETI like group is like growing, understanding more about each other and what's expected of us, and the next quarter is we start on our projects, or when do we start the service projects and present them?
So the service projects, usually that's coordinated under with each college's advisor. So maybe Dana might have some insight to that about her own timeline when she's planning to get y'all guys together to start working on that. I know as you guys might have seen from the timeline in the applications, the final project presentations are in May. So uh, I would if I was a student in LLI, I would probably start uh, like working on the actual service project probably like by the first immersion seminar, but I don't want to say anything concrete before Dana gives her input. So I'll pass it on to her.
It's actually off of high school yesterday. So we'll be starting stuff end of January for like prep work and then actually doing more consistent workshop stuff in April and March.
Okay, thank you.
I want to add something about the projects. As Eduardo said, think about it. How would you, what would you like to do? And as a group, because you're working as a group, then all this is going to give you the opportunity to negotiate and decide as a group what exactly you guys want to do. But in reality, the experience you have doing the project and doing the presentation at the end is going to be one of the most rewarding things that you will ever have, because you'll see the fact that 10 people have negotiated to do whatever you intend to do, and you'll see the accomplishment and the realities of working with people that you're meeting for first time. So I really think the time by when you start working in the project is going to be a little demanding, but reflecting back is one of the best times that you're going to have. That's my 2 cents in that.
As well. So we're gonna have four sessions with high school students in April and March, and then the last session we're gonna invite them to campus to do like a tour and stuff. So those 3 sessions, what we do with the students, that's what we're gonna come up with together on like how we want to impact the community with working through high school students.
I guess that raises a question I have for you, Dana.
Mhm.
So you mentioned working with the high school students. Are those the Bothell high school students, or are y'all working with different school?
They'll be Bothell High School students.
Awesome. Yeah, so for all y'all, just for reference, previous cohorts under the Bothell's group, we're working with Bothell high school students as well, helping them, mentor them, whether if it's like culturally or academically or in their personal lives, just being um, that guide to help them get more comfortable entering the college experience. So I'm really happy knowing that that's going to continue. So thank you for sharing a little bit about that, Dana.
Hi, I had a question about like whether we have to register again or like do an application for the spring quarter and how that looks like.
Anyway,
Um, Sorry, go ahead.
for the UW Bothell side, you don't have to like register for a class or anything. What you already done will be all the registration stuff on UW Bothell's.
Yeah, and that's goes the same with LETI. Sometimes we send out like our own like LETI application, but it should be the same questions that is on the UW application, and Dana shares that with us. So no, it should just be the one time.
In the past, this used to be connected with like a course. So, which is why you had to put it on your like course calendar and stuff. But this year it's independent of academics, so we have a little bit more flexibility. Also, last year, since it was tied with the course, they did like weekly meetings with the high school students, which is why we're just doing 2 a month with them.
Eduardo, do you could you be able to share like what are some challenges or difficulties maybe students from last year might have had that could help like this cohort just be a bit more prepared of what they're going to be doing as they go ahead?
Of course. Good morning, folks. I hope you're doing well. My name is Eduardo. I think the biggest thing I would always tell any student that goes through LLI with LETI is that one, we always know that it's hard to make meetings, right? It's important to always have a communication or method of communication with your group, with your advisor, right? You do Bothell, it's Dana. For Edmonds, it's myself, and you'll meet Skagit later in the kickoff. The schools work differently, right? But we all come together synonymously for the same goal, which is again with the work of Rosario that started 25 years ago. It's about empowering us Latinos and Latinx to make changes into our community, right? So part of what you're going to go through for the next 3 to 6 months, I say 6 depending on your quarter and your school, 3 to 6 months is that you are going to be getting soft skills, right, of leadership. What does that look like? You'll be gaining technical skills. Highly recommend that if you are someone who is shy in public speaking or someone who maybe doesn't take good notes or whatever the case may be, take the opportunity or as many Americans say, the leap of faith to be able to work on those skills, right? Oftentimes, this is the place to fail. I'm going to say it too. You are going to fail, and that's okay. A great success story is not about how great you are, but rather what is the comeback that you're going to have, right? Again, things you may try out and it's not going to work out, and that's okay. Life is just about going at it every single day with the community or the folks that you have around you while trying to always do something different. My words, I always like to say to students, do something different, not something better. There's only so many things in this life that you can do again and again and you will get better at. This is not one of them. This is something that you want to do something different, right? You signed up for this program for whatever reason, right? Maybe you were voluntold, maybe you were really interested. Maybe you already see the vision of meeting all these legislative people, these wonderful community individuals, right? Like Beth, she's coming on her own time to be able to come talk to you all, right? And you'll hear more about her spiel in a couple of minutes. Overall, again, if I could break it down, work on those skills that you need to work on because it's important, and this is the space to do that. Make sure you keep up with the communication. Again, we know you are all individuals, right? You're first individuals, then students, and everything else. Let us know what's going on. We will work with you, right? We want to make sure you make it to the end of this program. And 3, give it your best shot, even if it's just 10% or 100% or 110, sometimes like me. You want to go ahead and do your best, right? So overall, those are the 3 things I highly recommend. I could tell you so many examples of how other students in the past had to learn, right? But again, everyone's journey is different. So those are the 3 things I always highly recommend. How about you,
I want to
Andres?
add something, Andres. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
I recommend that you just put the dates for our meetings in everywhere that you possibly can, because if you work, this is the time to negotiate with your supervisors. These are the dates that I would like to have. We used to do before COVID, from 2012 till COVID time, we did it 6 hours all day. And that was hard because people had to take the whole day off. So now it's only 3 hours. Negotiate, because you're going to notice that life gets in the way, and your supervisor may insist that you work that Saturday. And that's again one more angle for you to think, is how much democracy we have at work. But that's a whole different subject. So put them in your calendar, negotiate your dates, because you never know who you're going to be speaking that day. It might be the person who can impact your life, because that's how life is. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosario. And also, Eduardo, I was gonna add on to what you were saying about how this is a platform to exercise, interpersonal skills, like, and as well as this public speaking. And I know last year, my second year helping coordinate this program, I was put into more of a speaking role than I was in my first year, and I felt like I fumbled around a bit more this last year. And despite all the internal embarrassment that I went through, I also really appreciated just the opportunity to, like I just said, exercise those skills, try to become more comfortable with projecting my voice, letting people know how I feel. And not just that, but it also makes me realize, like, oh wow, in order to be really good at this, you should probably practice beforehand. And I was in school, I was always the type of student to be like, oh, I'll just wing it, or oh, I'll read the textbook before the test and just go in. But in life, I've come to realize that it's really important to be prepared. And I guess that's the advice that I have to give to the students, that take the time to write down your notes. I know sometimes the information may not be relevant to you at that moment, but I can't tell you how many times I've needed to go back and look for something that was said that I was like, oh yeah, I'll remember it, but then I just forget. So it's really important to be just attentive and prepared, and just being there, and actively listening will help you build that information. So that's one thing I wanted to share.
And you are a perfect example, right? There's so many examples of LETI and LLI. Like Rosario had said, right? Her soon-to-be successor is a LLI graduate, right? They went through this program. They be part of, you will hear their story. I don't want to spoil it for you all. They'll say, right, this program helped them, right? So that's a little sneak peek. And Andres is part of that. When I first started to work and be part of this program and work with Rosario LETI and meeting Andres, thanks to Dana, we now know who's introverted and extroverted, right? Or an ambivert, like myself too. So we want to go ahead and push you all to make sure that you all are stepping into that. So, right. And Andres is a great example. You hear him talk, you hear him speak. He probably is scared to death. However, it's one of those things that he has improved so much over the course of just 3 years. 3 years, y'all. And he is still young. 24 is still before the age of 25. To share, I am 26. So again, I'm on the other half now, even 2 years later, right? So I just overall want you all to know, and again, Andres, is that we are here for your success, right? We will give you the steps and tools to be successful. It's up to you to make sure that you do your part, right? We can do 99% of the work, but you also got that 1% as individuals, and then as a cohort or groups or teams, depending on how you break it down. So, other questions you may have, anything, it could be personal to an extent, it could be professional, it could be what is upcoming.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
For the presentations, who are we presenting in front of?
Ooh, getting ahead of the game. We love that. For the presentations, you'll be presenting it in front of each other, right? So all three schools, Skagit Valley, UW Bothell, and Edmonds College, we will all be present, advisors and students. On top of that, not to shake you yet, just to prepare you, great question, you will also be talking to a leadership board of LETI. They always come out, they always want to see what the students have done, right? So Rosario is going to be there. Again, Andres, Marisol, you're going to meet them and others, as well as you'll be meeting either new community members, right? So legislative folks, folks who are on councils, and anyone else who has been a speaker up to that point, right? Rosario always has great connections and always tries to revamp that speaker list. So it may not look exactly the same as last year, but definitely know that you will be speaking to folks who are well within their careers, people who have had 5, 10, 15 years, if not more, letting them know of this is what we've come out to, right? And your project is specific to meeting just the goal of what is that community need that you're looking at, and how are you helping or assisting them, right? So again, it sounds a little daunting right now, but I will definitely make sure that it's very comfortable. We're there for your success. Of course, like any other academia, we will be critical, but just in the best ways, right? Great question, by the way. Other things?
I just wanted to add to that a little bit. For the presentation specifically, there will be like a group of evaluators, like 3 evaluators. It's not something that's like a grade that, like, well, how can I explain it? It's not something that's like the evaluators won't be like determining, I don't think, whether you pass or fail this, so it's really just for them to give you all the feedback and the opportunity to just find out what you did well or what you could improve on. So and those evaluators, like Eduardo mentioned, they could range from like leadership positions in legislation, or more so also for education, like people in school districts, people have been teaching for a long time, or people like in the universities. So it really varies. For throughout the sessions, though, you'll be meeting like all sorts of people, like Eduardo explained.
Rosario, can I ask you a question?
Yep.
What, since you know, right, the program, and you have been planning it for a while now, what are you most excited about for this year's cohort?
The number, the people, the young people. I've been working really hard into getting the community together. And if you watch what's happening in the community with immigration, it's so sad about the number of deportations that we had, more than many years. So the immigration system is totally broken, and unfortunately, politicians that don't want to do nothing. So people like you, your age, becoming involved, becoming, being a little bit more civically engaged, I really think is going to make a big difference. So I'm just hoping that this cohort will get to know each other more, and you guys will support each other as you move into different areas, because the university is one thing. You just go and get your certificate. But as you get a job, then you start seeing different things that you may enjoy, that it may have nothing to do with your degree. And that's in my mind, what I'm hoping is that you reach out to the people in a few more years. Some of you are going to move really fast. Some of you, will stay or will be moving. So just becoming friends, just know the people who you're going to be meeting, because if they agree to be a speaker, is because they're committed to your empowerment. And that's the one message that I want you to take is get to know each other, help each other, because the world needs you desperately.
I think, Rosario, what you mentioned about networking is really important, and what I like about this these sessions a lot, because it gives everybody the opportunity to get to know each other, save each other's contacts, because you'll never know what we'll end up doing and later on in the future. For example, one of my best friends, Colby, he's a marketing coordinator at Anthony's, like all their chains in Western Washington. And I never would have imagined that he would be in that position, and he was able to get some of our other friends jobs there. So it's really about who you know that in order to advance sometimes in your career. And also, one example of networking that I had no idea would come back later in my life was in August of 2022. I went to this work conference over in Central Washington for this program called Washington Immigrant Relief Fund. That program was to help disperse kind of like a COVID aid to undocumented immigrants who didn't qualify for the stimulus when Biden was giving them out in the beginning of the decade. Um, with that work conference, I had the opportunity to meet two other young leaders, pretty much the only people my age that I went to the work conference. One of them was named Shabazz, and we hit it off pretty good. We were hanging out during the work conference, and then a year later, 2023, once in July or August, once I started working on a different program called Community Driven Outreach. Shabazz ended up being the program manager that we were contracting with. So we were like, oh, wow, it's so cool to see you again. So it was great to already have that relationship established so that it made our work together that much more easier. So even if it doesn't necessarily like uh, advance your career, just being able to have that familiarity and that comfortability of working together was really great. So networking genuinely does happen whether you like it or not, and it's important for it to happen.
I want to add one more thing about a testimonial about an action that a student did regarding networking. So I told them the same thing that I'm telling you: write down names, write down contact names, and then approach them, sending an email that was nice to meet you, whatever. So this was a student during the kickoff that one of the legislators that was there, he approached her and told him, he was an excellent student. He was undocumented, had no possibility. He was not he was totally undocumented. He wanted to be an engineer. And if she could help her, listen to this, that next week after the kickoff, this legislator had a meeting with the president of Central Washington University scheduled for months. So she heard the message the student gave him. She presented to the president, and they gave them 3 years total expenses for the university. He's a successful engineer now and works in Bellevue. So you never know what, not to say that you always will get it, but that's a good example of somebody stepping up and just flat out asking for their needs, and he got it.
I have a question for you all in terms of students. For you all, you can use the chat or you can raise your hand so we don't have everyone be bombarded. And you can send it personally to Andres or myself so we can read it on your behalf if you also would like that anonymity. My question to you, why did you join this program? What are you looking forward to? And third, what is one goal that you have for yourself? You don't have to have it right now, but what is one goal you have for yourself that you hope to meet by the end of this program? So again, why did you join this program? What are you looking forward to? And what is one goal do you have for yourself? Again, feel free to raise your hand, send it to myself, use the chat.
I see
Yes,
Akima
Akima.
has her hand.
So basically I joined because the school system that I currently am enrolled in does not have the resources necessary for Latino families. Um, every time we've tried to reach out to families, it's been really hard because we've realized the school doesn't know how to reach out to those families and get their attention. And so they're seen as negligent or they don't care about their kids, not realizing that it's just that they either don't receive the information properly or it's just like they never get the emails from the school sends. And so I really wanted to help my school system reach out to that community, to Latino, so that they know that there are resources for their kids, there's resources for them, the parents, and that there's ways they can help their students get to college. Um, I mostly also just wanted to build on my confidence a lot, and like speaking out because I have a hard time kind of just like communicating, I guess. Like I'm really shy, so it's hard for me to like, take that step to be like, oh yeah, I have an idea or I want to do this, and just like really work on that for myself too, and just finding ways of how I can help my community. So that is, I guess, my main goal is just like building confidence and finding out how I can help my school find resources and ways to help their students in the Latino community.
I think that's amazing. That ambition to have to help the community and just the accessibility to resources that you find that there's a lack of. I experienced it as well. Um, with programs that we've done, like for example, for some financial aid that we had, all the applications were in English. So my job was basically to translate all those responses that were in Spanish over to English for them. And we found in those cases that there was a lot of people in the community that didn't have an email address, or if they did, their inbox was so full that they weren't receiving any additional emails. So they were losing emails that their lawyers were sending them, or really important documents that they needed. And it's just really important to as a community to help each other learn and learn how to navigate those platforms, those emerging platforms, because a lot of work that happens nowadays is remotely over the computer, and computer literacy is a very important thing that I find our community or like our parents or like um, our first generation immigrants might have a struggle um, to get a grasp of, and it's really important to help educate each other on that. Um, so yeah, thank you for sharing that. I really related to that. Um, and one thing I did want to add was that um, the lack of resources is not just for the Latino community either. Rosario, correct me if I'm wrong, but like in the Edmonds school district, there's like 300 different spoken languages, and only a fraction of that is being like served, like having material translated for that. So it's really
Edmonds College has over 50% of a BIPAC community. I believe the language is like 180 or so, but just with that, can you imagine the level of impossible to get translations? And the email, that's the biggest thing, and that's a system problem. And that's why some of you, hopefully, they get to be in the board of the school districts from your area, because if they keep sending emails to parents who do not have access to emails or they don't use emails, so they already know they're not going to be able to be connected. Thank you. I like to hear more questions. I think somebody had their hand up.
yeah. I saw Jacqueline had her hand up.
I was just gonna share a similar. I wasn't sure if you were done or not. Sorry about that.
No
Um,
worries.
but I joined the program similar to what I believe it was Rosario who had mentioned in the beginning. There's just as much lack of resources in our community as there is lack of awareness of resources that are available. My parents are immigrants. I'm a first generation Mexican American, so these are things I've noticed firsthand. Just the lack of knowledge of like where to go. I'm a first generation student. I saw, I think we're going to work with high school students. I experienced a lot of confusion and loss on like how to navigate, being a student, and having really nowhere to turn to. So I really do, and I think I mentioned this in one of the surveys that was sent out. I kind of want to learn to be that like bridge that builds those connections to those resources. I've seen that a lot within, my family. Um, it's just something that I know is like in the community. And I think Andres mentioned, it is interconnected with other cultures, it's not just us. So I want to learn how to um, kind of extend beyond that, I guess. So I'm really looking forward to learning as much as I can, networking, as you all mentioned, I've come to learn is very important. And a goal I have for myself, I am also a very shy, introverted person. This is a little out of my usual comfort zone. So I'm really looking forward to like pushing myself and, in order to be able to help others somehow.
Awesome. I see Nivea had her hand up.
I think I had a similar experience to what Jacqueline was saying, um, with her being like a first generation college student and Mexican American. I know well, a reason why I came here is because so I come from Yakima, so the demographic is like 1,001% Mexican. And so I was just very used to being with people that look like me, seeing beauty that represented like what I look like, mestizas, people that had gone through similar experiences as I have or my family had. And so when I came here, I think I can count on two hands how many Hispanics I've met. And I tried to join the Latino Student Union, but I didn't get a response back. And someone, Cara, from the Digital Scholars Program, had recommended this program because I did want to kind of join a community that is as welcoming as most Hispanic communities are. That is very uplifting and acknowledges like how much pressure and kind of like the imposter syndrome that most Latinos encounter in academia. And what I'm looking forward to within the program, honestly, I just want to hang around Latinos and even being able to talk to high schoolers that I myself share similar experiences with. Um, and being able to know like, oh, I was in your position once. I know what it feels like to, not know how to fill out FAFSA, not know that there's actually Latin professionals that have their master's program, or degree. And I just want to hang around Latinos, honestly. And one goal I have for myself, I think I'd like to be part of a community, find a community this year that is similar, not exactly similar to what I had in Yakima, obviously. There's more ways to grow, but be part of a Latin community that is as encouraging and welcoming as I would expect it to be.
Beautiful, beautiful. I want to add something into that. Is that difference that you've seen from Eastern Washington to here? If you're going to notice. Oh, Evelyn has her hand up, but let me add this. The other big challenge that we as Latinos are going to have is to integrate ourselves, because we Latinos have Asian descent, African descent, a multitude of diversity. And unless we coalesce and we accept who we are, is we're gonna still be divided. Thank you. Keep asking, Andres.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for having my hand up raised, Rosario, but I just wanted to say that the reason I joined the program was basically that, with all the experiences similar to what has been said before, and like what I was looking forward to the program was doing exactly that Rosario was saying, and not only joining the community and becoming more connected to a part of me, but showing that connection to other people that aren't Mexican, that aren't Latinos, and showing them that they can make that difference by helping us too in thriving in like educationally and in programs like that, like these, that they can also help us in like voting, for example, for so many good causes, is just making those connections, those networkings, so much more beneficial, and will thrive a lot more if we have a bigger community through that. And that was kind of also my goal, but also based off my school that I had, and like the applications that I filled out, I'd love to also learn better how to help other people that had similar situations like me. And yeah.
I'm glad you brought up the voting, because I find it interesting that one way that we can impact our like in our community from like our from our like our inherited community, I guess that's the way I would put it. One way we can impact them is, for example, if you're of Mexican descent, but you're here in the United States, you can apply for a dual citizenship and actually vote for elections over in Mexico. So that's one movement that has been trying to happen where um, Mexican Americans try to ideally Mexican Americans would try to improve the situation that's happening back in Mexico by voting for the people that will make the most change. And that that helps because it's like a completely new wave of and like a new generation that is helping develop our home country. So it's I think I kind of put it a bit poorly. So I'm sorry I kind of butchered that explanation, but maybe Rosario can talk a little bit about that because she's always telling me get my citizenship and start voting.
That's the bottom line. Any of you who have Mexican descent, make sure you have double citizenship. My husband got his Mexican citizenship when he was 50 years old. So you can do it. You can do it, have dual citizenship, and that way it helps you. Even if it's to buy property in Mexico, if you were born here, you need that citizenship. And for here, it's crucial. It's crucial to be involved in the many voting activities that need to be done. Like in March of this year, Edmonds School District will be asking for a levy and also for some bonding. And those are taxes that people have to pay, the homeowners have to pay. But in order for the schools to be able to fix schools that are falling apart, they need this money and they need votes. So if any of you is interested in voter registration, please contact me because that's my personal goal for 2024. I want to get something organized in voter registration. Is very much needed.
See, Sabrina has her hand up.
Yeah, so I figured I would answer the questions that you guys posed. So as for why I joined the program, it's very similar to Nivea and Evelyn. I I'm Brazilian, but I grew up in Miami and I also lived in Mexico. So even like the Hispanic community is very close to me. And I recently moved back from Brazil. I was living there for a while. And then it's always a bit of a culture shock because here there's not a huge concentration of Latinos. And I think the enrollment at UW Bothell, where I go, I think it's around 10 to 14%. So we're a little bit harder to find. And I figured that this program was an interesting way to kind of connect with that community and keep those ties strong. And what I'm looking forward to is connecting with mentors and leaders. I've always looked up to my mom. She was like working full time and got her degree in business while raising me. So she's been like my hugest inspiration. But I've struggled with finding role models outside of my family. So that's something I'm really excited about. And as for my goal, it's just becoming more community oriented. I feel like in this country, immigrants are kind of at times forced into a very individualistic mindset, like me against the world. You got to hustle and work hard and don't trust anyone. So it would be nice to develop more of that community mindset.
I want to add, Sabrina, that later on, Andres or Sarina can put you in contact with a Brazilian group that it works in the community-driven outreach. So it's a very powerful community. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
you.
I would love that. That would be amazing.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I noticed on the video you guys included the Brazilian flag, and that makes me so happy because we're always like left out of the conversation.
No, you're part of Latin America.
Yep.
And that name Latino, let me tell you, I still have fights with friends because they would like to call us Hispanic, and that's a whole other discussion. But thank you.